Right guys, welcome back to Group D, and finally I get to announce that the latest evolution of the DMAC 240 will be the 7-litre sprint car engine with two Turbosmart 6262 turbos mounted in the back seat. Right, let's get into some of the details. So this is already the world's maddest Sylvia, probably one of the maddest drift cars around. So therein lies the, evolution process. How do you make it, again, even more mental, or whatever the case may be? That objective, that wasn't really the objective, but when it got to doing some rounds of Drift Masters last year, the sprint car engine at 700, 800 horsepower NA was just all out of puff. It ended up just being full throttle with the likes of the Extreme and Velino tires. The grip level is ridiculous, and every single car in Drift Masters last year was boosted. So I believe maybe Josiah's Corvette is the only car normally aspirated right now in Drift Masters as we speak, but I don't know if that's going to last either, because you seem to need that rush of torque now that the tires are so good. So herein lies the issue. What do you do to get more power from an engine that's already kind of maxed out? So you either go nitrous or you go forced induction. Nitrous sounds simpler until you get into it, and then you realize you've got to carry pressurized bottles with you. You've got to keep an eye on solenoids, bottle weights or temperatures or whatever at the track. You've got to go to multiple countries in Europe, cross multiple borders, and be able to find nitrous in each country, and it's just an absolute shit show. So what seems simple, just use the same engine, put a couple of 100 shot of nitrous in it, and make the power, becomes probably logistically a disaster. So from that, forced induction is the way to go. Supercharged or turbocharged. I do prefer turbocharging myself for many reasons, but we already did the forced induction car in the US with the S14 and the sprint car engine. That worked out extremely powerful, 1250 horsepower at the wheels on very low boost, I think about 10 psi of boost. So once you have a very efficient, normally aspirated engine and you put a sniffer boost in it, it makes a lot of power, just like Honda engines, we'll say, except sprint car engine isn't shit like a Honda engine. So yeah, so that's led to, I'm rambling on a bit, but that's led to the latest evolution of the car. And I'll give you a quick run over it. It's been something that we've been playing with for quite a while, but the season has been so busy for us in the workshop that it's difficult to get out of the company cars. And also this baby right here, which you might have seen from previous episodes, has caused an absolute fucking shit show. So I put up a video welding the outside and stuff, and that's all well and good. That turned out fine. I was happy enough with it, willing to go with it. Just some cracking on the outside, turned out pretty well. And then we sent it to be bored, so to get the liners bored out of it. So now it's just the aluminium of the block with the steel liners bored out. So once they were bored out, it was all cracked in behind the liners. Maybe 3-4 cylinders were cracked, I don't know. So I went about welding. You can see some welding here. The block, we'll say. And then I was going to bore the block and the 8 liners, which are in this box over here. This one. The 8 liners I got in were too small, so because this would have to be bored oversized. So then I needed oversized liners, so that's another €1,000 down the fucking drain. And then we'd have to bore this, and the welding was a pain in the ass. And after setting my TIG torch on fire and burning myself and everything, I just had to sit down and I said, what the fuck am I doing? If this was a customer, I'd tell them to go and get a life. So this is finished. This sprint car block, dart block, is kaput. I'm sick of it. I'm not willing to chance it. I'm not traveling to events with the chance of this blowing the crank out in the ground and doing 40 grand worth of damage. So sayonara to the sprint car block. It's been great revenue, but you're fucked. So that threw a massive span on the works. Once we spent time doing all the bits to this, repairing it, welding it, boring it, welding it, fucking around with it, I've decided to order a new block, and I will be going cast iron instead of aluminium, as it is heavier. Yes, 30 or 40 kilos heavier, I think, but it's going to be the right decision for forced induction. It's going to be so much stronger. It's going to bore without liners time and time again. It'll accept the sprint car heads down on top of it and sit lovely in the engine bay. Right, so quickly looking at the engine bay, some work has been done. The front of the car has been cut off. This car was built just before we started doing our kind of modular front replaceable structure. So it's been chopped, and it's got an all new front made up for it, and we ground down the plates that were on the tops and we put our own plate on with the receivers. This is just a temporary bolt. It's threaded at the back, so these tubes bolt on, bolt off, so it's really modular. In the event of an accident, it all bolts off and becomes very simple. The block has been moved forward, so we moved the block forward a little bit from where it was, just to make the car more serviceable. Yeah, moving an engine forward is big, oh god, you know, moving weight forward, which you don't want to do, and blah blah blah, race car shit. But with the events, you want some serviceability. Now, nose weight of the vehicles has become less of an issue with the tires being so good. I might expand on that statement another time when we get into some suspension stuff, but it's become less of an issue. So we moved the engine slightly further forward, an inch or two, and this gives us more room to access the bell housing bolts, etc. Lots of things for pulling the gearbox, doing clutch, release bearing gap, all that stuff that needs to be done maintenance wise. There's the electric brakes, which are going to be cool, I hope. Did a video on them already if you want to see it. So yeah, this is mocked up. Here are the manifolds. There's the new Joyson tank that we got, larger capacity again. That's now going to go into the passenger footwell over here, where the electronics were over there. Anyway, the manifolds are almost done. You've got the passenger side one here, which looks very normal, and then you've got the driver's side one here, which looks absolutely ridiculous. And it's got this horrible sharp 90 here and everything, but the steering column comes through there so badly, but I refuse to do anything with steering column. Steering is the most important thing ever. So they're pretty much done. They lead to 2 pipes going back along the car, each side, obviously. This had the massive spaghetti manifold and exhaust out the wing here, but now it's got conventional 2 pipes, 1 down each side, leading to these bad boys here. Right, the power adders. So I've been working with Turbosmart for a long time. One of the best companies that we deal with, both resale wise in the shop and with the race program down through the years. The guys are just, yeah, probably the best company I've dealt with, to be honest. So when it was announced that these turbos were coming, it was the end of last year at SEMA. Caught me by surprise for sure, and many other people, I guess. These turbos are coming. I was like, okay, wow, that's very interesting. Now Turbosmart are catering for the whole hot side, basically, of everything you need. So it was decided to, working together with them, that they would be the power adders for this car. Now they control all the boost in all our cars, but now for the first time they're providing the boost. So we went with two 6262 turbos. Maybe we'll see what happens. It is a 7-litre engine, so it's 3.4-ish, 3.2, 3.4 litres per side. Having to fire up this 6262. So we'll see what the throttle response is like, what the boost threshold is going to be like, more important than lag, we'll say. And if this size of turbo is going to be correct. One of the things that, it sounds so silly to say, but one of the things that came into the factor for me was we have one reverse rotation, one normal rotation. So when I package all this into the back here, that it looks symmetrical when it's done. So that doesn't, what a stupid thing to say for a race car, but a lot of this car has been aesthetic. It's the reason it's so popular, so cool. An awful lot of it is aesthetics, for form, for function, or for just design. Part of this car is just to be mental and just do something a different way. So the two turbos now sit in here on a standing tube. So this goes through, we'll say, the original seatbelt bolt here. It actually comes from the outside and bolts into the tube now, and then a standing tube here. This takes all the way to the turbo, as 6262 does a little bit of weight in it. And it is dumped currently down. I don't know if it's going to end up like that. We're having some packaging issues, as you can see here. I will show you from underneath, but there is the new Turbosmart 50mm straight gate coming from the exhaust system and dumping down onto the ground. But it's getting quite tight there with the two, so this might change in a future episode. Most definitely will. So these two downpipes running down are no longer going to be in that location. Mounted exactly the same here. So the power goal, I think easily 1400 horsepower from this, with the iron block out here and the sprint car heads, two turbos. I think at about a bar, I think we'll have about 1400 brake. Now that will be just impossible for us to measure with the dyno we use, but we're going to tune the car to 900 to 1000 horsepower, about 10 psi boost, and test it, get through all the faux pas, do a bit of testing work. Luckily this car, handling wise, is fully sorted. It's going to have to deal with a bit of weight shifting and see how it goes, but that will be the plan. Test it, and then we will find a hub dyno and we will actually get a horsepower figure without monumental wheel spin. So yeah, there's the pipe coming up, two 3-inch exhausts now each side, running into the two 6262s, and it's going to be really hot back seat by the looks of it. So let me explain how I plan to manage some of the heat. Right, so heat. So it's going to get pretty hot back here. We have to firewall the main hoop like it was always done in this car. We're going to add an extra couple of bars on this because it's about to get really fast and scary. So we'll do a bit of updating on the cage, and then there'll be some design changes to the back of the car. Nothing too extreme. It'll still look a lot like it did before, but the quarter panels shall be opened and taking air into the turbos from the side. This will be used to cool the turbos and the area, not for the air intake. The air intake will be in the roof through a scoop that's going to be made here. There'll be some scoops in the side windows also. So you'll have a little cover over the turbos from about the strut bar forward, and then it'll create a little hot box section with air coming in both sides and blowing through, and this area is going to be removed and it'll be blowing out underneath here out the back. That'll keep nice airflow over everything and hopefully keep control of some mental temperatures in the back. So I'll just give a brief rundown. All this will come together and we'll go in depth a bit more at a later stage. The intercooler will be between the strut tops in that kind of direction. Intercooler is here. So twin turbo, 2 ins and 1 out. The charge pipe will then come out here somewhere and go forward through the firewall, straight through where the passenger seat would have been, through the wiper panel and into the engine. She's gonna love it. And yeah, that's kind of the design of it. The roof scoop and the side ducts will then take in air to the intercooler, which will probably be fan assisted with 2 fans on the back of it, just to keep control of those intake air temps. So rear mounted intercooler, once again, something I've never seen, or why would you even do it? It's so stupid, it's so silly. And yeah, that kind of leads me to why we are doing this. So the European rules now in Drift Masters say that the exhaust must exit the rear of the vehicle here. And to turbocharge this engine and put a turbo on each side, there was no way that any sort of a decent exhaust, 3-inch even, was going to get down past the manifolds, steering column, and manifolds dry sump on this side, dry sump pump system. There was no way whatsoever. So the original plan was to just put them out the bonnet and who gives a shit. But of course they changed the rules and they must go out the back. So then it led to a huge kind of issue on how are we going to solve this. And as silly as it sounded when I heard it from my friend Ian, who said put them in there, and I said go away you idiot. And as silly as it sounded, at the end it kind of became, as we placed them there and then came up with the venting system, the ducting, the intercooler, and we'll say with the manifolds finishing about the A-pillar, the actual distance that the exhaust gas has to travel. So this distance is kind of the wasted distance. This is not what you want, really, having turbos in the back. It's going to be more laggy than having them in the front, we know that. But with such an efficient 500 to 600 horsepower, with the compression ratio reduced, with such an efficient engine, it will charge these pipes fairly quickly. So I think just this kind of, what are we going to call it, 2 meters maybe? I don't even want to call it 2 meters, 1.5 meters maybe. I think the sprint car engine being so efficient is going to charge these pipes fairly quick and lag will be at a minimum. So that is the plan, and I hope you are kind of as excited as I am. I'm a little bit apprehensive as this has gone absolutely completely mental, and it's so much redesign of everything, and with the block now A new block has to be got. It's gone so expensive. A new crank is about to be purchased also, as we spoke to Callie's about the crank, and we have the super duper amazing, fully lightweight, like 6 counterweight sprint car block, or crank I should say. And Callie said, oh my god, wait a second, like you're putting twice the power through the engine. We'd be worried about that crank being too light. You should use this crank. And of course this crank is thousands upon thousands upon thousands. And we're going to have to use it because, as I said, I am not traveling to some special event and going there and blowing the crank out through the bottom of the $7,000 daily dry sump kit as well. So a lot of things to be done. A lot of things have to come together. It's going to take a little bit of time, but I hope you're as excited about this as I am. It's going to be Ireland's most powerful drift car by a million miles. Europe's most powerful drift car, probably, if not the world's most powerful drift car. And looking forward to getting it, building it here in Group D and having something special again. So the screaming NA V8 sprint car engine is no more. And for all of you that came out to see that, thank you very much. And it was exciting and amazing, and still an absolute unbelievable engine to put into a pro level car of almost any series except the top 2 or 3 in the world. It needs a bit more, so a bit more it's going to get. So see you guys next time. I'll do some more explaining on what we're doing, and we will keep you all updated over the winter on what we're doing. So see you later. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.